Task 4 talks about adhering to the specific codes of conduct. Task 4 has 14 qualifying criteria. Let's look at Task 4, Qualifying Criteria 8. Explain the specific disclosure requirements regarding fees and commission. Here we are looking at the specific disclosure requirements regarding payment of fees and commissions. We therefore need to look at Section 7 of the Code of Conduct that outlines what information must be provided and disclosed by the FSP when giving advice to the client. Included in this section will be specific disclosure requirements relating to fees and commissions. We have gone through Section 7 before, but we will run through some of the basics of the section and specifically highlight the disclosures relating to fees and commissions. This section deals with the information that an FSP must provide the client with regards to the financial service they are rendering. When an FSP gives advice to the client, the FSP must disclose and provide certain information relating to the financial services being rendered. We will be highlighting the disclosure relating to fees and commissions. The FSP must inform the client of their responsibility in terms of providing accurate information. It is important to remember that the client provides the FSP with certain information in order for the FSP to provide and/or render financial service. Therefore, it is important that the information received from the client is accurate as well. Otherwise, the FSP cannot give the correct advice or financial service. It is also important to note that an FSP may not request the client to sign any written or printed documents unless all the required information has been included, or sign a blank document. So here we can see that this sets up the relationship between the parties. The client must give accurate information, and the FSP cannot ask the client to sign anything unless the FSP has provided all the required information per Section 7. The FSP must, at the request of the client, provide a statement of account in connection with the financial service rendered to the client. The FSP must provide a client with a statement of identifying and listing financial products still in existence at least annually. These statements must include specific information, one of which relates to fees and commissions. We will explore this information a bit later. Let's start with, when the FSP gives advice to the client, they must provide certain information relating to the rendering of the financial service provider. We can divide this information into 3 categories. 1. General explanations. 2. Material information. 3. Specific disclosure. In terms of general explanations, the FSP is to provide the client with reasonable and appropriate general explanations of the nature and material terms of the contract and the transaction. The FSP is to provide full, frank, and honest disclosure of information that is reasonably expected to be disclosed to enable the client to make an informed decision. In terms of material information, the FSP is to provide the client with material contractual information, facts, illustrations, projections, or forecasts that they have. In terms of specific disclosure, Section 7 of the Code of Conduct goes into detail as to what needs to be disclosed. Section 7, paragraph 1c states, the following information must be disclosed at the earliest reasonable time and/or opportunity. 1. The name, class, or type of financial product. 2. The benefits of the financial product and how they are calculated, accrued, and paid out. 3. The specific information for financial products marked as an investment product or has an investment component. 4. The obligation to the product provider, nature, extent and frequency of monetary obligation and escalation, increases or additions. 5. The obligation to the FSP, nature, extent and frequency of monetary obligation. 6. Any special terms and/or exclusions. 7. Any guaranteed minimum benefits. 8. How accessible will the funds be? 9. Any early termination consequences. 10. Tax implications. 11. The cooling off period. 12. The nature, extent and frequency of payment of commission, fees and/or brokerage fees. Take note of this disclosure as it relates to fees and commissions. 13. Any and all risks associated with the product. 14. The amount of the increase in premiums over the first 5 years, then the basis of the increase over years 6 to 20 years, not exceeding 20 years. Therefore, when a financial product has an element of an investment, then there is additional disclosure requirements that need to be provided to the client about the financial product. Let's go through these disclosures. Section 7, paragraph 1c, subsection 3 states that specific information for financial products marked as an investment product or has an investment component needs to be provided and disclosed. Firstly, the fees being levied in terms of 1. The amount and frequency of the fees. 2. Who receives the fees? 3. The services or purpose of the fees. 4. Fees based on performance, then we must include the frequency, performance measure period, and/or other criteria. And 5. Where the structure of the investment has other underlying financial products, then we must include the manner in which the client can determine the net value of the investment. Next, we need to disclose how the value of the investment is calculated and the details of the underlying of other financial instruments. We need to disclose the details on the past performance of the investment as well. 1. On request of the client. 2. Over intervals that are reasonable for the type of product. And 3. Include a warning that past performance is not an indicator of future performance. We also need to disclose the details of any rebates on fees passed on to the client. Lastly, any platform fees that are being charged to the client. Here it is important to note that when dealing with financial products that have been marked as an investment product or have an investment component, then specific disclosure of fees must be disclosed. As mentioned previously, details of these fees levied should include 1. The amount and frequency. 2. Who receives it. 3. services or purpose of the fees. 4. Fees based on performance, frequency, performance measure period, and or other criteria. 5. Where the structure of the investments has other underlying financial products, must include manner that clients can determine the net investments. We also need to disclose the details of rebates on fees passed to the client. And all platform fees that are being charged to the client must be disclosed. At this point, it is important to take note that we have just dealt with the specific information relating to fees for financial products marked as an investment product or has an investment component. Also remember the specific disclosure requirements of commissions, fees, and brokerage fees at the earliest reasonable opportunity. This disclosure must include the nature, extent, and frequency payable. Next, we cover the fact that an FSP must provide a client with a statement of identifying, listing, and mentioning products that are still in existence at least annually. These statements must include specific information. This specific information is obligations, can also be referred to as duties and responsibilities. The ongoing monetary obligations of the client. Benefits. The main benefits provided by the product. Value of the investment, if any. Where a product has been identified as an investment or has an investment component, then the net value of that investment to the client must be disclosed. Commissions and fees. Any ongoing incentives, commissions, fees, and brokerage fees payable to the provider must be disclosed. This statement need not be provided where the client is aware or should be aware that the FSP does not render or has stopped rendering ongoing financial services in respect of the products concerned. We must also note that the FSP must provide a client with a statement at least annually, and the statement must include any ongoing incentives, commissions, fees, and brokerage fees payable to the provider. We have thus gone through Section 7, making specific highlights relating to fees and commissions. Let's recap these to make sure we know what Section 7 includes. Here we can see that Section 7 requires disclosure at the earliest reasonable opportunity for the following. 1. Fees payable for financial products marked as an investment product or has an investment component. 2. The nature, extent, and frequency of commissions, fees, and brokerage payable by the client. With regards to fees payable for financial products marked as an investment product or has an investment component. Section 7 includes details of what needs to be disclosed, namely 1. The amount and frequency. 2. Who receives it? 3. Services or purpose of the fees. 4. Fees based on performance, frequency, performance measure period, and or other criteria. 5. Where structure of investments has other underlying financial products, must include manner that client can determine the net investments. We are also required to disclose details of rebates on fees passed to the client, as well as platform fees. Lastly, the FSP must provide a client with a statement at least annually, and the statement must include any ongoing incentives, commissions, fees, and brokerage fees payable to the provider. We have thus gone through Section 7, making specific highlights relating to fees and commissions. Let's look at some questions to test our knowledge. Question 1. Jacob, a representative, must inform a customer about commissions payable as well as certain disclosure requirements. What needs to be disclosed to clients? A. Remuneration which is payable to a provider must be disclosed, but not the identity of the product supplier who is paying it. B. Any fees or commission which the provider may earn as a result of rendering of the financial service must be disclosed. C. Whether maximum commission amount or rates is prescribed by law, it must state that the amount is not determinable. D. The Forex intermediary must disclose to a client only cash-related incentives offered, or other indirect consideration payable to the Forex intermediary because of the intermediating on the client's investments. The answer is option B. Any fees or commissions which the provider may earn as a result of the rendering of the financial service must be disclosed. Question 2. When AMS Insurance Brokers has sold a financial product to a client, AMS Insurance Brokers must separately disclose the charges and fees that are additional to the financial product sold. Which of the following must be disclosed? A. Who will receive the fees and charges? B. The currency in which it will be charged. C. How much was already paid to the recipient? D. All of the above. Pause the video here for a second and read through the question and see if you identify the answer. The answer is option A. AMS must separately disclose who will receive the charges and fees relating to the financial product sold. So let's go through a final overview of what has been covered. We have covered the disclosure requirements regarding fees and commissions. We hope you enjoyed the video and learned a lot. Please make sure to check out our other RE videos.